Okay, ladies and gents, here we are on the first day of trading in August here. On the 2nd of August, it is Monday the 2nd, 2021. So market internals on the day, NASDAQ 180 billion total dollar volume as of just 25 minutes after the close. NYSE $240 billion volume. OTC markets just under 2 billion, 1.9 billion total dollar volume. A little bit on the low side again. We'll see if we can get some more heat and action in those sketchy companies. 3 trades for me today on the long side. Some opportunities on the short side I felt as some of the gap and craps, but really nothing awesome. And obviously nothing that I wanted to put my hard-earned day trade on. What? Am I still going? Hello? Hello? Yeah, we're still going. All right. So yeah, we had, like I was mentioning, no real awesome setups. FRSX I was watching as a short opportunity, just not insane amount of dollar volume. 3.5 million total dollar volume on the day. It's an Israeli auto parts company, float of 55 million, short reported interest of 7%. The news catalyst was cooperation agreement with global Chinese vehicle manufacturer. Yeah, your 10%'s there. It's just like not A plus, not a home run. It's whatever. I missed it. I was willing to give it up. Hoth was another one. Didn't like fully have an awesome setup. Like you can call that a VWAP crack as an entry, but it's like it didn't really have that much room anyway for a pull to the downside during market hours either. Fundamentals on this one. The news catalyst was preclinical study for Alzheimer's disease, so good buzzword in that. It's a float of 20 million, reported short interest of 0.7%. American biotech, just not A plus, and I wasn't willing to put my mental capital in that. SJ, I remember this one from a while ago, kind of running a little bit. I think more in the 2020 market, if I remember correctly. I guess not. But again, so just choppy and not worth any of my time to even try to break down. BSQR, I mean. This was early in the pre-market, right at pre-market open. Fundamentals on this one. It's an American software tech company, float of 10 million, reported short interest of 20%. The news catalyst was second quarter earnings conference call, apparently. Being released, or I guess it was over the weekend, so that would have explained the reason for this immediate pre-market open spike here, but just a gap and crap and fade the whole market day. VXRT was another one that was spiking. I remember this one again as another recent kind of mover to the long side that maybe would have made me hesitant to try and play if it looked great, but it didn't even really look that great. This was only, what are we talking? This peak here is only a 20% move, and then you're looking at cutting yourself off at the knees, trying to think you can get 10% or beyond at a VWAP crack sign, and it did not even go 10% the whole day from that point either. So fundamentals on this one, just quickly. They had an FDA news catalyst for application for their oral tablet for a COVID-19 vaccine, which is pretty cool, but obviously not cool enough to spike this thing crazy, or not the right type of market to spike it crazy. Float of 114 million, reported short interest of 21%. Again, American biotech. So checking some of the boxes, in regards to the higher float that we like to see, but just not like hitting the huge marks of spiking hard in the morning on these types of news catalysts and not dumping hard. And glad I was able to stay out on the sidelines and recognize that early enough to just keep calm and focused and wait for that perfect sniper shot to go for the kill. So only 3 longs today that looked great to me. EVK was one of them. This one, kick it off. This is a Chinese apparel manufacturer. Sketchy checkbox number 1. Float was super low, 3.9 million. Check number 2. Reported short interest of 7%. Add on to check number 2. The daily on this one wasn't insanely awesome, but history of kind of one and dones, but also showing some volatility. Awesome standalone volume candle day. We could actually potentially keep this one on a watch list if it wanted to dump tomorrow. Look at this pattern as more of a first green day short coming into tomorrow. But looking at this one today, I was playing around the whole pre-market, just chopping myself in and out on the long side of basing trades off of this level, off of this level, off of this level. And it was just the trend was there, the pattern was there. And I look back at this now especially too and think, okay, how can you deny this awesome trend line? Especially creating higher lows, coming back to VWAP, pushing these levels in the pre-market, even though we're getting like a little bit of top wicks here and then shooting back under VWAP, and it's still building. And this was the highest dollar volume mover in the entire pre-market, especially too. But I mean, not the greatest selection in the pre-market to try and compete against, but certainly not anything to not bat an eye at. So I was building with volume. I think if I want to show my trades here in the pre-market of just how I was continually, let's remove this, see if those trades will load. Just stopping myself in and out, yeah, so many times. So in total, I think I was slinging like 210 shares total around on this thing, which in essence really should have been one full-size trade at one point. So I was just trying to trade, go back to the 1 minute. Looking at just the pre-market here, I was trying to trade, okay, oh, we're holding this level here, I can risk that low here, and then we just broke that low, and then it would just dump back under a little bit, and I would think, okay, we're building back up again, curling back towards VWAP. I'll get another entry here. Ooh, we're holding okay. Oh, we're dumping again. Cut it as we're under VWAP. Oh, building back up again. Oh, we're spiking hard. Oh, rejected again. Same type of top wick, and then just sold out again. Totally. I should have learned, and I was realizing that very soon on, after stopping myself out so many times, that, okay, this type of chart and this type of price action requires a much more patient or much more wide range of tolerance in how you look at the price action and how your motions are set on the chart that you're looking at. So this one just became, I think this was a great lesson for me too on understanding that, hey, the trend is holding. Like I pointed out the line before, all the factors are lining up. Chinese sketch, super low float, dollar volume is there compared to everything else that we're looking at. The cards are all in our favor. This is, I mean, it's especially, this was like 100% move. We're talking close to $5 from $2 close on last Friday trading day. So this was an awesome setup, lots of key factors being hit, and then I was just kind of stopping myself in and out just because I was feeling it was moving a little bit too fast, because this is a pretty wide range to trade in terms of how far it was moving. I mean, we'd be at, like even in this example here, or this specific trade right in the middle here, like we're getting to 4.3, but in that same minute, we're back at 4.15. So it's just like, okay, yeah, you want to say and look at it simply in this chart to say, well, why the heck would you ever stop out? Like, that's just so minimal compared to everything else on the trade. But when you're in it, and especially why I love talking about this, it can explain the emotion of it. When you're in it and you're seeing those numbers just continue to flash away, and then you realize, golly, that's 20% or 20 cents. That's like freaking 5% almost on your position. So this is, you've got to widen your tolerance when it starts showing the patterns of when the chart itself is saying, hey, you need to widen your risk, which also, of course, comes with, hey, you might need to size down your position size in order to take on that risk. But A+ trade, totally there on this dip and rip setup. Double bottom grade here around 9:45, perfect. Could have got in and played it off of there. I think I played it on the second one. No, I did play it on the first one as we were coming back up, as we were showing some strength curling. So I was completely out by market open, just kind of forgot about it, looked at other stuff, and then saw we were putting in a little bit of a bottom. Wasn't really affected at all by any of this hard sell-off. Was thinking a little bit, maybe I should like go on the short side, coming from the mentality of some of the other long traders in the millionaire chat room, thinking, hey, if the trend is confirmed, don't fight the trend, just follow it. which is what made me think, okay, maybe some other guys are getting short, and that's their mentality. Oh, we're hitting some key levels here. We could just die off the rest of the day. But then I also had the realization, man, there's a whole nother side of the trade or of the chart thinking this is an awesome dip and rip setup. And so as we started curling, as we started producing a little bit more volume here, I got short. And I was looking at trade zero as well too, just kind of randomly looking at if they had shares available to short. They had none. So then I said, screw it, I'm going another 30 in. I have to in order to play this with so many factors lining up. I said I absolutely have to be in this. I think it has the potential to go to the upside, at least intraday. I'm not trying to speculate on these for multi-day runners at all. But price action started moving well. Immediately after my buy, we had a little bit of trouble initially trying to pass through VWAP, held back a little bit. I had a stop in just below this low a day, and I don't know how I didn't get hit. I think it must have been just like extremely small micro prints that just quickly flashed underneath that, because as I was watching it pretty closely, I didn't see anything hard come under that low a day to which it would have gotten out my stop. So I was probably surprised to see that, but then quickly rebounded, perked back above VWAP, and we got into an awesome halt. It's totally exciting feeling to be a part of a halt when you're on the long side, if it's halting to the upside, of course. Funny to see, though, that it took, again, we're halting and then opening lower. We had a bit of a sell-off here and just confusion and price adjustments still happening within 6-7 minutes after that halt. And even at that halt, it took a while for the halt to happen, which I was surprised to see. 495 was the number, and it was just, I would say, man, it felt like 30 seconds, 30 seconds, that it was just printing off 495, 495, 495, that the bid and ask were 495, the normal signs that a halt is going to happen. It felt like it just kept doing that for a super long time. I'm like, when is this halt going to happen? Of course, then it finally did. So that was just a little bit strange to see there. And then, yeah, strange again that we dumped back under. We're not halting beyond, or we're not opening beyond that price. And there's just indecision even after the halts. So I guess it's just a factor of not a lot of panicking on the short side, or not a lot of interest overall in these types of charts in order to cause that type of huge volatile movement around halts in this type of market. So I took off, I had 30 shares in that trade, took off half immediately after that halt, and then held on to, so 50 shares remaining, and I guess I obviously took off 8 more. I took off half more of that remaining position, again, as we reclaimed back around this level, 482. So you can see I got a terrible fill, 427. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I was liquidating into this strength initially with these first half of my position at 10%. So that was this first sell, and I said, awesome. Okay, I've got 15 shares left. I sold half of those remaining shares after the halt at 482, and then just held the rest, thinking, okay, I've got so much more wiggle room. This is a $35 position. I can just let it run and go crazy. So sold into some awesome strength at 554, and kind of perfectly sold there at that point. Came up a little bit, had another perk above high day, but then quickly rejected after that, and just hard dumps into the afternoon trading session. Again, it tried a little bit. It looked like it was holding okay. You can see this big short squeeze here with this volume candle, and then eventually dumped back under and now fading. So I'll keep an eye on it for tomorrow as a first screen day short to see if those patterns are still sticking around, if no volume wants to come in, and any long back holders that are still waiting on a VWAP hold explosion type of trade end up getting stuck and screwed tomorrow, and they have to sell, not necessarily panicking, but just slowly, stabbed us that they're, I can't take anymore, and they have to sell. That's what I'll be looking for on that type of trade. So that was my first trade. That one specifically ended up, after slinging $800 only on my 30 share trade, I think I cleared like $15 in total on that ticker on the day. BTBT was the next one. Interesting one. over these past 2 trading days. So this one, of course, I played long before the weekend close. So I was playing it long at this breakout here, again, playing it off of this type of technical level breakout. On the daily, it looked decent too, so we're kind of having a nice bounce here. This volume is great compared to especially what it was doing back then in early 2021. So played it on the long side there, looked away. I think I was prepping for another video, and it was up like 60 cents on that position and then completely dumped. And then I first saw it right here. What I didn't realize was they released an F3 filing at that exact point. And that's the factor that dumped this so hard. But the price quickly reclaimed within that after hours, just basically to that same peak right before the close, the actual close of after hours. So then coming into today, no news catalyst on the day, but of course we have the infrastructure bill going through in, God bless America, the U.S. Congress, for the cryptocurrency regulation, all this type of stuff, whatever. So obviously the theory is shorts are kind of wanting to pile in because they're thinking that longs are going to want to get out because they know that anything profitable in regards to the cryptocurrency industry is going to get hit potentially hard with this new infrastructure bill, with the taxes, whatever. So I didn't even have this chart on my scanner. I just randomly had it still on my screen from when I was trading it over the weekend. Saw this initial spike come up pretty big. This is 10% move here in this one candle. Didn't halt, but it was holding pretty well. So I figured, I was thinking exactly that, what I just repeated. Okay, maybe shorts are getting squeezed a little bit here. The early shorts, the weak shorts, because they're looking for just a quick dump to try and scalp a move of the panicking longs looking, oh, I need to get out with this infrastructure bill, blah, 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 whatever. So that was the thesis. I wasn't looking for anything crazy. I certainly wasn't expecting it to go all the way to 11 or beyond. I was just looking for maybe we can get 10%. Maybe we can get a little bit more squeeze from other people like me, realizing the position of the shorts who are trying to realize the position of the longs. That whole kind of supply chain downstream effect was the theory behind this one. And man, that was just awesome. Showing the trades here. Only one in and out, I believe. I think I took half off. Come on. Load the trades. Yeah, so you can see my trades from over the weekend, and then pretty nice fills here. So I got 968 on 10 shares. Yeah, just not risking a super speculative position size around this point as we were holding. Of course, it was just very indecisive, trading a pretty wide range, both on level 2 and the time and sales. Wasn't really affected on it, and didn't have a hard risk level, but knew that, hey, if we're cracking this green candle low, the trade's over, and I got to cut it no matter what. And that's also the reason for the small position size as well. We started moving, new high day, pullback, still above VWAP, not phased out whatsoever, continued on, again, new high day, took off 5 shares into, this was 10% around this point, 10.6 I think would have been the obvious 10%. So I just took off half into strength around that 10% mark, held the rest to see if we could go any crazier, which I was surprised we were even at 10% that quickly in the morning. So then we kept on rising, $11 whole level, put up a little bit of a fight, but then eventually broke through, so sold into that strength as well too. That's where this red candle is. Right there. You can see it. And then kind of sold well. I looked out that the candle I sold into was the highest candle of the day for the rest of the day. Again, similar to EVX or EVK, that it held okay, came back above VWAP for the afternoon trading session, but then just dumped. Or just really kind of piddled around. Not dumped hard, but just really didn't do anything. So I think it's still on watch. I think it could have some strength coming into tomorrow and then the rest of this week, especially looking on this daily too. We've got plenty of room that we can hit and release some of these bag holder longs on the daily chart. So it could get interesting. So that one in total on that $90 position size. That was a $10 win, 10% move in total on that trade. That was an awesome one. And then my last one, XELA. This one, former runner. So again, coming from this little peak, nice volume, moves here on the daily. This move here, I think the longer term, not the greatest on the longer term, but recent runner. So that's our main focus with this one. Fundamentals, again, just as a reminder, float of 35 million, reported short interest of 23%. So we got a good amount of shorts coming into this one. Trade thesis for this was, hey, it's not dying, so get long. Again, when the bearish signal doesn't happen, it's usually a sign to get long, or it's usually a sign that, hey, a bullish move could happen pretty soon. So this thing was on the downslope, had a few what you could consider first green days, but nothing awesome, especially like this day. Yeah, it spiked pretty hard in the pre-market, but still just ended up like dying off a little bit, but then not like dumping hard. And these 3 days too, especially just holding. Coming into this day, spike in the pre-market, dying off a little bit. Not the most insane dollar volume today too, but certainly could have had the volume if attention wanted to come in on this one today, which was also a factor in the trade too, thinking I was getting in early for what could be an incredible swing to the upside. So the trade specifically, here we go again. Okay, got 50 shares, so $150 position size on this one. Willing to risk a little bit bigger of a position size because I knew it wasn't going to go so fast to the downside against me. So I knew I had room to get out had it start panicking or the trade had not worked out. Got in at the high of daybreak with 294. This was really the first time frame that I saw it, like right around the 10:30 time frame. Said, okay, it might be dying off here, but then it was holding okay, and then a little bit of die off, but then 2.9 didn't want to break, so then we're testing 293 again. I'm like, all right, I got to get in on this with something at least. Got in on that. Price action moved away pretty quickly. $3 didn't really pose that much of a challenge, and it was interesting to see on this one again. Probably the reason why it was so choppy in the past too, but just coming out to the light once again that like we had 3 on the ask, and it was pretty stacked for market makers. 5, 6, 7 different market makers at 3. And it wasn't like it was just printing hard at the $3 level, but then it was just all of a sudden, oh, okay, we're at 302, 303. And it was just like, wait, what happened to $3 whole level? So you can't really go based on hard technical levels on this one, in my opinion, and I wasn't planning on doing that initially for the exit especially, but that's what it became for trying to save myself. When I was in profits, I'm thinking, okay, if it comes back down below my entry, I'm not here to try and play the long game on this one. I don't have that much degenerate in me. So I just set my stop right above my entry level and just cut the trade when it wasn't looking when it wasn't looking good, but the trend was still on. I mean, looking at this, that's the wrong one. Oh, we want this one. I mean, look at this line. The trend especially wasn't broken. At this point, you could have still waited a little bit more. I could have said, I wouldn't have knocked you if you waited till VWAP crack or just even this second perk down below, cutting at like 285 level here as the end of your trade, because the upside on this one had so much potential from where it's been and the volume it's generated just very recently too, and how well it's been holding. So interesting to see also that Art of War kind of had the same exit point. He was in like 286, I think 286 maybe around this time frame, like the 10 o'clock time frame. Had much more of a meat of the move and much more room to be patient with an exit, but also interesting to see that he was cutting pretty much right around the same point that I was cutting, kind of this break of 295, which I said, yeah, screw it. I think the trade is done at this point, or I'm not, at least I wasn't willing to stick around and waste more mental capital on this choppy, not insanely awesome dollar volume mover on the day, but a little bit of opportunity there. And good to see that even though these aren't producing insane results right now, it's still just kind of going through the motions, going through the practice for hotter markets when we're seeing these rinse and repeat over and over again, that these types of moves are setting up for 50, 60, 70% moves still on the backside of your entry later in the day too. So that's just how I have to look at it and maintain my composure and focus that way too with each of these setups. Though it's not insane money P&L wise right now, I think it's setting up for a lot more on the upside of my P&L curve that way too. So NSAV, also wanted to mention, pretty nice dip buy right in the middle of the day, and also not red. So again, this OTC ticker had some multi-day run-ups, or has a multi-day run-up. Could be a nice panic dip buy tomorrow. Not the most awesome dollar volume in general. It's kind of the same as what it's been doing this whole run-up. But again, yeah, you could call this a good dip buy, but it's also not, because it didn't panic incredibly hard. It's not even red still. So it's whatever. It was there. That's just what we're going to call it. So that's all I had today. $25 to the upside. Always a good way to start the month, good way to start the week. Excited with this new goal now of having what I've called having fun, and just pushing, kind of forcing myself to be in the mindset of be loose, be free, enjoy what you're doing here in front of the screen, because there's so many people digging ditches and just hating their life that wish they could have the opportunity to do this. And that's just what I have to realize every single day too with all these trades. And I think it's just making me so much more, it's bringing me so much closer to my potential as a trader, just being so free and willing to go in and out, forget about the dollar size, the dollar loss, the dollar gain. It kind of is just a game, and we're pushing buttons, we're looking at flashing green and red lights. Crazy, crazy world, crazy times. So I thank you guys for watching. If you guys made it this far in the video, please leave a like. We will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.